So hi everyone, my name is Karen Kaur from Make a Change Australia. Welcome to our very first Tune Into Change session. So today we're speaking with Ian McBurney, who is the Executive Officer and Co-Founder of Beehive. Hello and welcome, Ian. So tell us about Beehive and what is it and what's it all about?
Yeah, well, Beehive has been in development for, well, as a thought or an idea for 7 or 8 years now, but we launched in 2016 and had a pitch night at the Handlebar in Bendigo, and we said to the community, you know, what we need is a digital platform that can connect people in their local place, and allow people to share access to stuff and skills locally, and you know, we think cooperative governance model is perfect for the sharing economy or the peer-to-peer economy. You know, all these organisations were formed in the early 2000s called Sharing, and you know, Airbnb was about sharing your spare room, and then it turned into sharing your 7th investment property. You know, and you know, the profit motive came in, and the billionaires came on board, and you know, and it took all the fun out of the sharing, and it kind of took the term away from what it actually was. So we said, you know, we need to bring back our spending locally, and we need to bring back the ownership of our economy locally. We need to create meaningful local work, and we need to create an economy that's not about consumption that leads to landfill and resource extraction and pollution and waste, but an economy that is local and is about the circulation of resources. So we set up Beehive. We had a group of brilliant people put in at that stage $30,000 in donations to get us going, and we formed our cooperative at the start of 2017. We have a brilliant team of people. Julie Miller-Markoff is the chair of our board and is a governance and leadership guru, and Claire Fountain has us totally sorted. She's a brilliant local business person. Mahesh Kansami is a cooperatives governance guru. Marcus Turnbull is brilliant software developer. And then I've worked in sustainability and culture change, and well, a whole number of other projects over a long period of time. So we got together and we said, right, we want to create this and do it. So the Beehive model is that we have a platform called Villages, which is just launched in Bendigo, which is a bit exciting, and that connects neighbours to allow neighbours to share access to stuff and skills and to build relationships, and then you can set up communities across Bendigo. So Make a Change, or you know, Let's Pivot, or whatever project you're working on, could have a community that connects people right across Bendigo.
Well, that's really good to know, because actually, just as a side note, our Zoom discussion workshop group are looking at a way to keep connecting, and you know, the main thing that comes up is a Facebook group because it's so easy. But are you saying that we can set up our own group on this platform?
Yep, and you can communicate with each other privately with direct messages. You can post publicly. You can create events, and you can plan things together within communities. So that's Villages. I'll talk a little bit more later on about what Villages means. But you know, we have our cooperative governance model. We have a great team in place. We have a Villages platform, but the overall goal is, you know, to create an economy that looks after local people and that looks after the local place, including the environment. And once we've done Villages, the next plan is to be an incubator for local cooperative sharing enterprises. Wow. So we've started looking at a car sharing cooperative for Bendigo as a first one. But you know, we want to help local people to join the model and create their own cooperative enterprises, because we need to look at you know, the food system and the energy system and the waste system and, you know, the transport system and all the other systems, because they need to be changed. So that's a brief overview of Beehive, and then Villages, our first application.
Oh, fantastic. So is it mostly so basically anyone that is wanting to connect, like technically online and share things across in their street or their neighbours, is that what it's specifically for to start with?
Yeah, Villages, yeah, for sure. So when you subscribe to Villages, you get it's basically allows you to connect with people who live within a kilometre of your house. Now you can make that shorter if you live in a city, or you can make it bigger if you live in the country, or if you live in a city and you're an extrovert, you can make it bigger, or if you live in the country and you don't like people, you can make it smaller. Like, you know, it's up to you, but it will then find people from within that distance who've joined the platform. And the idea is you can walk to those people's houses and you can develop relationships with those people and build a sense of belonging with those people. But you set up a sharing library then, and those people can see your stuff and your skills, and you can see theirs, and you can send them a message and say, hey, can I borrow your whatever it is? Or can you come and teach me how to prune the fruit trees, or whatever skills they have?
I think that's so useful. Like I just even, thinking my own example when you've run out of garlic and you're just making a dinner and you've got little kids and you don't have time to go to the shops. So if you imagine you could just do you don't even have time because you've got little kids there that you can't really leave, and you don't even have time to go across the road to talk to your neighbour. So maybe you can just do a little message on that group. Hey, has anyone got garlic? Run out.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. It's I need an egg, I need some flour, I need some sugar. Does anyone need some lemons? We have too many. Has anyone seen my kids? They were up down the street the last time I saw them. So you can do all those things, and then you can also plan things together. So if you want to have a conversation with your neighbours about a street tree planting, or building wicking garden veggie beds together, or what you're going to do about your local park, or whether you want to organise a cooking roster for some new parents, or a shopping roster for someone who's socially isolating, you can plan all those things together. So.
And so can you explain a bit more about the cooperative side? Because what does make it different that, say, rather than just creating a Facebook group, how is it different? Is it more because of the ethical integrity side of it? And can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, so when we first started thinking about bringing the sharing economy to Bendigo, I rang a few friends who were in the sharing economy Mark 1, and they were like, oh, why would we go to Bendigo? We can't make a 30% profit there. And one of them was a car sharing business. And so I said to them, so according to the last census, we have 115,000 people here, and we have 80,000 cars here. And the average car costs $10,000 a year. So there's $800 million being spent in Bendigo on cars. But they're not coming here because they can't make a big enough profit. So the question was, well, can't we create a really good service here that doesn't have to make money for the billionaires, which is what the rest of the old sharing economy does. It's about extracting wealth for the rich. So we sort of said, well, what does that mean? And we got involved in a movement that's global. That's a bit of a tongue twister, but it's called platform cooperativism.
All right.
I even said it once, but it was saying that these platforms are actually set up. We could actually, we could put the cooperative governance model over the top and get rid of the billionaires totally and create wealth. It's a community wealth building corporate structure. So with a cooperative, everyone who joins the cooperative is a member and an equal owner. So everyone has one vote in the decisions of the cooperative. So it's shared democratic governance, and the value of that's created by Beehive will be retained in Bendigo forever and will be shared. So we can create these great enterprises, and hopefully we can all use those enterprises and the access economy rather than owning things. It's much cheaper to access a car when you need it rather than own one. But all the spending is local. And there's no one extracting money and taking it somewhere else. All the value is staying in Bendigo. So it's a very different model. We've got there's 5 of us on the board. We will have the same ownership stake as everyone else. So totally different way of going about running a business. So we're pretty proud to have stuck to our guns despite many people yelling bad advice at us over the last 4 years about the governance model and the ownership model.
Wow. So where is this heading in terms of, so you've done it for Bendigo, are you going to be setting this up or giving people the opportunity to set it up in other places?
Yes, we're holding back Castlemaine at the moment like this because, but no, there's at least 30 places around Australia have been in touch with us and said, we'd love to set this model up. So the plan is that from February, we're going to open up the Villages platform to places around Australia, and local government can help speed up the process of establishing villages, because obviously if there's some marketing and communications and community engagement around it, then membership is going to build quicker. But we want the platform Villages to be a tool for local people to set up their own beehive cooperative. So we're trying to kind of flip the idea of scale. We want beehives to scale quickly, but we want them to be deeply rooted in local place. So if there's Newcastle or Fremantle or Ballarat or Albany or wherever, we will use some of the subscription funds from the Villages platform to pay local activators or local brilliant people to spend the time setting up their own beehive cooperative. And after that, the ownership and the spending and all of that localises for them. And then hopefully we've got a network of beehives that can just share ideas and intellectual property. And if we set up a car sharing cooperative, Newcastle can just have it. And if they set up a food one, then Bendigo can set that up as well. So yeah, that's the idea for for scale.
Fantastic. And you have mentioned a bit in your communications that Beehive is part of an epidemic of belonging. Can you explain what you mean by that a bit more?
Yeah, so I think we've all experienced the value of social connection to our lives in the last 6 months. And before that, before COVID, social isolation was one of the biggest issues that we face as a nation. You know, I've heard Hugh McKay speaking many times about belonging and the fact that we have epidemic levels of social isolation and loneliness and depression and anxiety. And it has a huge impact on our communities and on our local economies and on our society. And now we've all had a taste of that in the last 6 months. And, you know, it's just amazing even today in Victoria that, you know, you're allowed to be outside without a mask if you can keep your distance from people. And the number of smiles I've seen today has just been so beautiful. So, you know, what we're saying with Villages is that we want to connect people together the way neighbours should be connected together, to build relationships with neighbours that last. You know, if you join a program at the town hall and you go away from your home and you participate in that program, and then you come back home again to your own local place, and you've been through something different, but your neighbours haven't. Whereas with Villages, it connects you with the people around you. And when you walk the bin out and when you go to walk to work down the street or jump on your bike or whatever, you've got those relationships, and you know, and it makes you feel safe and it makes you feel secure in your local place. And you can also access things that are, you know, 20 metres, 40 metres, 50 metres, 100 metres away from your house that you need. So when we were sort of talking about Villages and how we're going to talk to people, we came up with this line that we want to create an epidemic of belonging. And a couple of people on the board said, "Oh, I don't know whether people know what epidemic means," you know, and then COVID hit, and it's like, okay, now everyone knows what it means. You know, we know how bad an epidemic can be, or a pandemic can be, but it's actually the same social networks that cause, you know, a pandemic to spread. They're the ones that actually give us a sense of who we are as a human being. And you know, we're a social animal, and we need to be connected with other people. And I think it was Lisa Berkman at the Harvard Medical School in the early 2000s did some research and found that if you have strong links in your local community, it's better for your health than giving up smoking and alcohol and fat.
Wow.
And it adds 10 years to lifespan, you know, and we are supposed to be connected to other people. And it's why we've had this underlying anxiety over the last 6 months. You know, we need to laugh together and be together and you know, exchange things together and look after each other. So that's really central to what we want to do with our Villages platform.
So, you know, 2020, we've mentioned, has been a pretty challenging year for many of us. How has Beehive been impacted, and what have you done to adapt to get through?
Yeah, obviously it's had an impact on us. We're creating this platform that is about belonging and connecting neighbours, and no one was allowed to connect with anyone. So we did delay our launch a bit. We also changed the way that we were talking about Villages, because you know, a year ago we were talking about, you know, the access economy, the sharing economy, and as one of the main reasons for getting involved. But then we started getting all these phone calls from people saying, "Can we use this platform for neighbourhood mutual aid?" And we were saying, well, yes, you can. I mean, you can, like we were saying, you could organise a shopping roster for a neighbour who's isolating, or you can organise a cooking roster for, you know, someone who is, you know, got a baby or whatever. You can do all those things on the platform. So there was a bit of a shift in focus from the sharing economy and the access economy to, you know, can we use this for mutual aid? And even volunteering, it could change the nature of volunteering, because, you know, during COVID you weren't able to go to the neighbourhood house, or you weren't able to go to the care home or the kindergarten or whatever. But you could go for a walk around the block and check on the neighbours and have a conversation. And all of us met new neighbours over the last 6 months.
Actually, one of the things I just thought of whilst you were talking there was when, with our work with Make a Change, we've connected with a lot of community groups and, you know, people that were dealing with the on-the-ground impacts of people not being able to connect, and particularly sectors that aren't very good, I guess, connecting online. We've never used online platforms before and things like that. How do you think Beehive can, what can people do to help people that aren't normally using these kind of platforms to get more involved or to join in without having the, you know, the knowledge or the motivation to do online things?
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully people, one of the ideas with Villages is that people involve their neighbours, and so you might you might have a tech-savvy person on your street who puts a skill up saying, I can help people get on board. And they could go around and sit with someone and show them how to use it. But cooperatives, one of the cooperative principles globally is education. So we'll be doing a lot of education with people and with groups about using the platform and connecting digitally. But I mean, the other thing is, not everyone is going to join the platform in a street. So, we have a lady around the corner who's in her 90s, and she doesn't have a computer at all. But what we want to do once we get the neighbourhood on board is to go around and get people to go around and have a chat, because she loves veggie gardening and she's got fruit trees and she's very interested in attending local events that we have. So even if she doesn't have an account on Villages, you want to set up some sort of roster where if you're having an event, someone goes and knocks on the door and lets her know that something's on. Or if she has a chat with someone and she says, I've got lots of lemons, can you let people know? So we want people to get out and get involved, and even if people don't have an account on Villages, that's no reason why they can't participate on the platform. But yeah, we're also looking at developing some video conferencing tools on the platform, so that a community could actually, people could make calls within a community or run some online training within the platform.
But a lot of our listeners and people who get involved in Make a Change initiatives are working on projects and ideas to make a difference. And you've definitely made a difference over the years with all of the initiatives that you've been involved in particular with developing such a new and innovative platform. What's one piece of advice you can give others looking to make a change?
I think the first thing is that purpose has got to be central. And if you're going into, be a change maker where it's actually about you, then don't do it. It shouldn't be about you. And for me, it's always been about, helping us as a society create a new relationship with the earth and with each other. And that's a big purpose. But I'd say if it's about you, don't try and be a change maker. But the second one is, I love Ken Robinson's idea of finding your element. So find the link between what you love and what you're good at, and then go hard there. So people always say to me, how can I help with sustainability? And it's like, well, if you're a teacher, build in environmental education to your teaching. And if you're a nurse, then look at waste reduction in hospitals and energy reduction in hospitals, and try and improve patient care with less impact on the environment. Whatever skills you have and whatever training you have, integrate sustainability into that. And so I would say to change makers, find the link between what you love and what you're good at, and go for it. The third one is that you need to decide if it has a business model or not. And by that I mean, if it's got a business model, it needs to be able to generate income and and enough wealth to run that thing that you want to do. And if it's not about that at all, then don't make it about that at all, and keep it as something that will make a difference. That's not about creating money. And too many people try and do both. There's this murky world of social enterprise. So I think they would be three things that I would say to change makers. So yeah, purpose is the main one, and then finding your element, and then making that decision about what you're doing, whether it's a business or whether it's something that's not about money, like freewheeling fun in Bendigo, which is brilliant, and not to confuse the two.
And finally, how can people get involved in Beehive?
So you go to villages.bhive.coop and you can subscribe for $5 a month. It's a total bargain. So you go to villages.bhive.coop, you subscribe, and you can join the platform there. Now, that doesn't automatically make you a member of the Beehive Cooperative. So anyone can apply to become a member and an owner of Beehive Cooperative as well. So you can do that at www.bhive.coop, or you can do it through the Villages platform. So that's the two ways you can get involved. You can only subscribe to Villages if you live in the Greater Bendigo area at the moment until February.
Right, and can people, if they don't live in Bendigo, sign up to a newsletter to stay in the loop for other developments? That's right. And one more way you can get involved. We've now had $40,000 donated from our founding patrons. They are totally brilliant. The list is on our website of all those beautiful humans. You can also do that on our website. You can become a founding patron of the Beehive Cooperative. So if you've got to spare, I don't know, 20, 50 grand, just go to our website, put it in the bank account, and we'll help change the world with it. Fantastic. No, I definitely think it's a very worthwhile thing to donate to and help contribute to and help grow, because I can see, just the model is going to make a big difference. But thank you so much, Ian, for your time and explaining that further. And that anyone listening, we've all got a bit of homework to do now. Go on to the Beehive Villages website and sign up, I think, and get started.